again, everybody, and welcome to the Manny Diaz Show. Joe Zagacki, Don Bailey Jr., University of Miami head coach Manny Diaz. This week, the Hurricanes at home for their final home game of the year against Virginia Tech at 7:30 at Hard Rock Stadium. Miami coming off, well, another dramatic game inside the ACC, another dramatic game for the year, and another wild Miami-Florida State game. Unfortunately, Coach came up on the short end of this one, this time against Florida State. A wild finish and a tough one.
Yeah, we didn't finish. I mean, that's the key. I mean, it had every makings of a classic Miami-Florida State game that we've seen throughout the years. It came down to a play that they made, and those are the plays that we take a lot of pride in going our way, not just this football team, but at University of Miami when you play Florida State. And you got to give them credit for the way they battled back, but got to give our guys credit too. I thought the way our guys fought through the course of that game to take control was gave you a lot to be proud about. Like I said, just the lack of finish is what cost us.
Manny, I'm going to go the philosophical side here for a minute. That game is undescribable to a first-timer. I imagine coaching in it and also playing in it. And it took this football team a little bit to absorb what they were into. At least that was my perspective. Do you agree with that?
Well, we told them, we did a little history lesson on the game during the course of the week, and we told them, I said, if you've only played in last year's Miami-Florida State game, or even 2 years ago when we went up to Tallahassee last time, you probably really haven't been in a proper Miami-FSU game. And that atmosphere, you got to give their fan base credit. They brought it, and for a team that hadn't had a lot of success, the place was packed, it was jumping, it was loud, and we had a lot of young guys that looked like some young guys in the first half. And especially in the first quarter, we were jittery on defense, and we were turning the ball over on offense. As you mentioned, though, to our guys' credit, kind of once we got our sea legs, we established a foundation in the game, made a big play to Will Mallory, and from that point on, I thought we really started to exert ourselves in the contest.
The first quarter penalties had to be extremely frustrating to you, right? Because, as the defensive coordinator, you're paralyzed. Right? Everything's taken away from you. They end up dictating policy because the ball is being marched down the field without any resistance because of penalties.
Yeah, 5 penalties on the first drive, and you could see the the jitteriness. You 3 guys jump off sides because they're just so anxious and eager, and you lose your training is really what happens, and those are preventable penalties, and so we have to own that as coaches, to make sure that we train our guys better for the stressful environment, what they're going to be in. But from that standpoint, the guys did get better with that as the game went on.
Also, the giveaways. You had 3 giveaways, 2 interceptions and a fumble, and fortunately Nesta was able to get a fumble recover himself, so it was 3-1, but that's almost an unsurmountable amount of giveaways to overcome.
Yeah, it's hard to win when you're down -2 in turnovers. Now, I will say one thing that the defense did a nice job of after the first drive is they made 2 sudden change stops, right, which were really big to keep us in the game. Then eventually we had the one at the 12-yard line that may or may not have been a forward pass, and they scored there. And from that point, they kind of had some momentum, and we needed a momentum play to get us back in. That's where I thought, Rhett did a phenomenal job on the trick plot pass, when I mentioned a moment ago to Mallory. And that kind of got our guys going. It got our guys back in the game. Keyshawn Smith, 3 straight games now, the touchdown pass. And then from that point on, now we were in the ball game.
It was a 28-3 run. I think it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. It was a 28-3 run after being down by 17 against Florida State in that environment.
Yeah, we were exerting control in the game. Now, obviously, because we were down in such a hole, we were only up 1 score, but we had taken control. There's no doubt about that, and that's why I keep harking that word: finish, finish, finish. You've got to finish everything you do, and ultimately they finished and we didn't.
You look at Jalen Knighton, 162 yards last week, not many yards on the ground this week, but showed his completeness as a player, came up with a huge catch that resulted in points.
Yeah, phenomenal play. It could have been one of those Miami-Florida State plays you watch for a long time. It deserves to be. And run game is frustrating. So many runs where Jalen looked like he was going to spit out of there and just kind of got sideswiped, in the legs and tripped up for a gain of 3, where we really felt like we could have made some more headway. And they make it hard because, they're going to play with a light box, where they've got less people in there, and you can get them all blocked, and their D-line would do a good job. We knew they were active, and they would do a good job of shedding a block at the last minute and sort of being able to play a gap and a half, and that was a difference in the run game.
Maybe this will be the last time you have to relive this week, but you had the two plays in the fourth quarter, the last drive. Douglas down the sidelines. Cam Kitchens was within an eyelash, I think, of making a play there. And then the fourth down play. Maybe take us through that.
Yeah, we had been, look, they were really struggling going into the game, and they've been struggling during the game with man coverage. The drive before we had they kicked the field goal that drive. The drive before that, they had a 3-and-out versus man coverage. They were starting to get into pick routes and mesh routes. And so most people in a 2-minute drive, the most important first down is normally the first down, because once the offense gets going, now they have a chance to establish tempo and get down the field. So you're going to play man coverage. We've got a deep post safety. Cam's outside leverage. Cam's in great shape. He's in phenomenal shape. He's the best coverage safety we have. He does a great job on the play. When the ball is in the air, he looks over the wrong shoulder. That's all it was. It's a technique thing, and the ball was fantastically thrown. Maybe the best deep ball we've seen Jordan Travis throw all year. You have to give them credit for that. That's execution. They made a play. But to that point, we got him on the ground, and we stopped him on the next play, which is a huge, after a big momentum play like that, to get a big stop on a run. Stopped him on second down, stopped him on third down, and had a 4th and 14. Everything says you should stop 4th and 14. That was ultimately the play that decided the game, and they were able to execute that better than we were.
We should mention that 50%, going into the game, 50% of their passes were behind the line of scrimmage, right?
Right.
So this is not a team was a vertical team. And you got them where you want them, but drop back.
And when they had tried to throw the ball vertically against us a couple times during the game, and they were struggling to put it close. I mean, like I said, that was a big time throw. He made 2 big time throws. You got to tip your hat off to him. We could have done some things technique wise better, on the deep ball, and then obviously on the 4th and 14, just from a situational awareness standpoint, where we've got to help our players out to let them know they got to get 14 yards to get a first down. Understand where you're aligning yourself up, and but like I said, but to his point, to his credit, he made 2 big time game winning type throws.
James Williams banged up a little bit, took himself out, I believe, right before half. That put a lot of pressure on Avante, who hadn't had a whole lot of practice time or playing time this season, but he stepped up, made some tackles, and he certainly is a physical football player, especially that hit that he had at the goal line to keep it out from a score.
Yeah, he loves the physical part of the game, loves to run and tackle. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Avante's been drinking through a fire hose, and it's not just in our base defense. I mean, James' loss was big, because James is a really versatile guy for us, can play dime in our third down package. You got to remember now, our third down package had 3 true freshmen on it. Mm-hmm. And then when James comes out, Tyreek Stevenson moves into dime, but that takes you away from corner. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, and that that affected us, and having some issues getting lined up in the second half. I mean, it was, we're obviously thin in the secondary, putting it mildly, and so you're trying to move the parts around to make sure that you can get everything solved and lined up to at the end.
Some would say for a player like Tyler Van Dyke, who's had early success, not this big sample size, the test is what happens when things go bad. And things did go bad for him in the first quarter, and then he threw 4 touchdown passes. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think you could see it. I mean, look, you got to give that environment its respect. I mean, that's a hard place for a rookie quarterback to go into. That's not, it was a good crowd at Pitt. It's not Pitt. I mean, it's a good crowd at Carolina. It's not Carolina. I mean, that's Doak Campbell Stadium. You can think about the Miami Florida State games through the years, and there's been a lot of Miami teams that have gone up to Doak and started slowly, in those type of environments. I mean, I think back to the 91 game, where again Florida State hopped out to lead, and it was that dreaded 13-point lead where it's just easy to come back, and that's exactly where we were. And to Tyler's credit, once he got going, I think I know the third time I mentioned that Mallory, but he made a great throw to Mallory on that trick. It wasn't just a trick; it was open, but it was close, and he had to put it on there, and Tyler did. And I thought from that point on, he played with a lot of confidence.
Manny, a description for me of the physicality of that football game, some people can tell at the line of scrimmage, but you really could tell at the wideout position, like the hits that Harley was taking, the hits that Miami was delivering. On the outside with the skill players, it was intense there, as intense there as it was on the line of scrimmage.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a real live contest in there, and like I said, I mean you have to give both teams credit, both players credit. I mean everybody was competing at a very, very high level.
Probably should wrap this segment up with this now. You have to move forward. Virginia Tech is coming up next. How do you, during the course of the week, get your team to away from Florida State and to come out energized for Virginia Tech?
Well, there's 2 things that you're going to remember in your last year in college. You're going to remember your Miami Florida State game, and you're going to remember your last home game, right? So our guys that was their last chance at Florida State. A lot of those guys had never lost to Florida State. So Stinks for them to lose a game in that fashion, okay? How do we make it up to them? We make it up to them by sending out a Hard Rock winners. And when I say we, that's everyone in our organization, everyone in the locker room, staff, everybody. Those guys owe it to walk off that field Saturday night winners against a really good Virginia Tech football team. It's not going to be easy. But I think instantly when we had our meeting Sunday night after the game, it immediately set us a focus, gave us a mission going forward. The seniors have been through a lot here. You know what I mean? Some of those guys came back for an extra year. They've had great careers, and our guys want to play for them, to see them out as winners.
Okay, it is Virginia Tech on Saturday, Miami and the Hokies at Hard Rock Stadium. We will continue with Hurricanes head coach Manny Diaz right after this.
Hey, it's the Good Greek Spiro, and we all know that the most important part of winning a championship is getting there. And when the Miami Hurricanes need to get their equipment to each game, they call Good Greek Moving and Storage. The Miami Hurricanes trust the Good Greek, and so should you. So move like a champ and go to goodgreek.com. Good Greek Moving and Storage, the official movers of the Miami Hurricanes.
Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.
If you train like a pro, then you should be treated like a pro. Much like the human body, our team of sports medicine experts moves as one to achieve a singular goal. Recover your game.